30 years ago, Cleveland punched their ticket to the postseason for the first time in 41 years. Will the 2025 group pull from any of that magic? I'm sorry. I made a just a small little mistake in that intro, Zach. Actually, the 2025 group, right? That's the year we're watching. 2016 was almost a decade away, and so was 1995. That was also just a decade away. It was like 10 years ago, right? I think if my math is mathing correctly, kind of seems like it was only a decade ago.
I don't know about that. I mean, we were tiny little children, right? Or I was. You were in
I was
college.
an old man. Yeah, I was already well on my way to manhood, so I don't know what you're talking about.
It is crazy. It's been 30 years. I don't necessarily remember that night, September 8th, 1995. My sports awakening, my first sports memories were that World Series. But I've written a little bit about the 95 team, and I do think that date, the events that happened, it's pretty cool because it's not like it was, some memorable game, I can't believe they won, and it's not like it was a surprise, right? They had a 30-game lead in the division. How about the fact that they clinched on September 8th? And it was a shortened season too. It makes it even more impressive. But I think it was almost like that summer was a fever dream because it was the antithesis to everything Cleveland baseball fans had become accustomed to. You never had a summer like that. And so even though you knew that was coming and you knew that they needed, just if they win that night, they clinched, they're going to the playoffs. That's the first time Tom Hamilton ever utters, you will have an October to remember, right? And that became a staple over the years. There's something about, I think, for fans, that moment when Jim Thome squeezes the pop-up in his glove, it's almost like that was like, okay, now you're allowed now to let yourself think crazy thoughts like, could they go to the World Series? Could we have a parade? It just felt like, because it felt fake. It felt like a fantasy. Like every night they have this crazy comeback win. And, what was the best season in the 41 years prior? I mean, it was like, it's not like they were losing 110 games every year. It was that you had false hope a lot of the time. And, they'd finished like there were a lot of seasons that were like 76 and 86, stuff like that. And so there were moments where you thought, maybe this team can be good. They were on the cover of Sports Illustrated 8 years earlier, right? And so even though it felt different the whole time, it was like that date, September 8th, 1995, when they clinch and they raise a banner and they're playing Steve Holland's song by Garth Brooks, and they're all crying tears, and then they're just dousing each other with beer in the clubhouse after, because when the hell did a Cleveland baseball team ever get to do that, right? It made it feel real, I think, for the first time, where you could let your guard down and be like, all right, I'm getting swept up in this. Let's see what we got.
Goodness gracious. The mute button's not working here. Not only did you get the benefit of enjoying it so early because they had such a tremendous lead and they were playing such great baseball, they stressed they wanted to get to 100 games. They wanted to win that. And they saw that was in reach towards the end of the season. And it's kind of amazing that they accomplished getting to the postseason. They had dreams of doing so much more. And there were a lot of guys on this team that had never tasted a moment like this before, but they had also brought in veterans like Eddie Murray, Oral Hershiser. There are guys here that have been through this before and can maybe impart some of that, hey, we got bigger fish to fry here mentality. But they didn't. They didn't just take the foot off the gas a little bit. They just kept going. And it got to a point in the postseason, even when they were down in the series against Seattle, they came back and they obviously took it in Game 6. in the Atlanta series. They didn't win any of those games initially and to begin this series, but there still was that hope, that feeling, because they had done it so much in 1995 that the magic of Jacobs Field was going to fix whatever ailed Cleveland, because it had done it just time after time after time throughout the season. So I was always impressed that they just kept the foot on the gas despite clinching on September 8th. And they just carried that forward into the postseason. And it just looked like it was going to continue from the moment of game. Well, not the moment, because game number one lasted about 7 years to itself. But game one of the postseason, you had the crazy walk-off by who? Tony Pena, of all people. It was a wild year. And it's what made that 95 World Series when Grissom finally catches the ball and you go, really? I can't believe, like, even to that moment, it felt like, okay, hold on, they're gonna do it. They're gonna come back here. They're gonna do it, and they just didn't.
Well, and to your point, you're blowing it out. You're having a celebration that no baseball team in Cleveland has had in 4 decades, right? There was a lot of alcohol flowing that night. There was a huge celebration, and who was in the lineup the very next night? There was a hangover lineup of sorts. Kenny Lofton got the day off. Eddie Murray got the day off, but Manny Ramirez was in there. Albert Bell was in there. Jim Thome was in there. Those guys were on a mission. You're right. Albert Bell, like, I don't know when he knew he had a legit shot at 50-50, but I mean, we've talked about his numbers in August and September that year. He hit 31 home runs in the last 2 months that season. Like, they didn't slow down. They didn't take their foot off the gas. They won the next night 2-1. They won the night after that 5-3. And so that was just a team that I think they believed it too. I think 94 helped. Like, they got a taste of it. We've talked about this plenty, but there's also a decent book on it. But I think
where I
fact
could get
that
such a book. Where would I
they
even?
got that
I couldn't
taste,
even
the strike hits,
figure it out.
and they came back the next year on a mission like we've never seen. And it's a rare set of circumstances too, because you almost have that first season that you're good in a window. You feel like every game is so critical, even during the regular season, because you've never won like this before. And the fans are along for the ride, and everything, the whole journey just feels special, right? And then the next year you come back and you're like, okay, let me pace myself. I know how to win now. I know what this is about. And it loses a little bit of that luster. And so you didn't have that yet in 95. And it was just, that's why, like, you tune into a game even after they clinched and before the playoffs started, and you're like, there's still plenty of reason to watch. They're going to have a crazy comeback? Are they just going to obliterate somebody? Is Albert Bell going to hit 3 home runs? I mean, it was crazy. And yeah, that's 30 years. It's just, jeez.
Yeah.
We are old as dirt.
You don't take anything for granted when it's been 41 years since you reached the postseason. And I know for the players involved, some of them had been there for a while, like Sandy Alomar, Carlos Baerga. They're at the very bottom of, God, this sucks. Despite the front office feeling like, ooh, better days are on the horizon, for a player going through some of this at that old stadium, you earned it. You weren't here for the 41 years, but you earned it. Charles Nagy earned it and gets to be a part of a moment like that. It's why everyone got to take that moment to embrace it and join in with the fans that were equally feeling that.
How about the last game of the regular season? They're 99-44. There's no incentive here, right? And they start their starting lineup. And now, like, guys came out as the game went on, but Kenny Lofton got 5 at-bats. Everybody was in there. And remember, you had expanded rosters, not just 2 players. You could expand it up to 40. So, like, you could have had a lineup of just bench players and give everybody a day of rest. But no, they wanted that 100th win. Yeah. Sandy Alomar sitting there at the bottom of the lineup going 4 for 5. And oh, by the way, what do they do?
To 300, right?
That's right. And what do? They just slaughter the Royals 17-7. They score 11 runs in the first 2 innings, which allowed Mike Hargrove to get some bench players in there. So that team they were never satisfied.
No. But think about it. If you're going through a season like that, don't you kind of want to just keep it going?
100%.
I don't want to get in the way of that. And if I'm feeling that amazing at the plate, get me the hell in there. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll put in my work. I don't. But if I'm seeing the ball and it's a beach ball and I can inflate my numbers some more, if I can think about, I'm hitting 317, but wouldn't it look better if I could have a 318, 319 in the back of my card if I finish the week really strong here? I think you get greedy and you want more. You get into a season like that. We often see, and we've seen this before in clubhouses, where guys will be in a hurry to get out of there. You got families, you got kids, you got nightlife to go chase, and it's come in, put in your work, and then let's get the heck out of here. But we've also been a part of it. I think we saw this in the win streak in 2017, certainly in 2016 when the team was making their run. Guys aren't anxious to run out of there. It's
Right.
It's like a party that you want to continue every single night. You don't want that party to end. And I'm sure in 1995,
2022 had that where guys would
sure,
stay in the clubhouse and play chess.
yeah,
Maybe it's not like, back in the day, it was you stay around, you have some beer, you smoke some cigarettes, and you're recapping the night. These guys are sitting around a table playing chess and drinking high C fruit punch. But so times have changed a little bit. But you're right, that is a signal that there is something special going on in the clubhouse or dugout. And it doesn't I'm not saying that correlates to winning 1-1, but it's a good sign when you're winning games and guys don't want to go home.
yeah. Everyone just wants that good feeling, the good vibes to continue. And the 2025 group looking to continue some good vibes. Now, as I look at that lineup as the Indians clinched against the Orioles, and I see Lofton, Vizquel, Baerga, Bell, Murray, Tommy, Ramirez, Sorrento, Alomar. Who could just recite that in their sleep? I seriously could. And then you compare that to what's going on in 2025 with George Valera hitting second. And
We need a T-shirt. We need like a GV artwork T-shirt with just like the lineup card and Jones, Schneeman, Rocchio.
They kind of compare, all the future Hall of Famers and guys that maybe we had those sorts of hopes at one point in their career. But it doesn't matter, because I don't care that this team's only 2 games above 500. Baseball has deemed them a playoff squad, and damn it, Zach, we've been through enough. Listeners to this show have been through enough in this season. I think if you got some good vibes, you got to get those good vibes going. People called for it on Twitter. The votes are in. They want to celebrate. This team has earned it. They went to Tampa Bay, took care of business, won 3 out of 4 against the team that was red hot before they played them, right? They seemed like they had sort of caught fire. Everybody at the bottom of the standings is taking turns being that squad. But right now, the Guardians come back, take care of business against Tampa Bay. They've got a huge part of their schedule coming up, only 2.5 games out of that wild card spot. You know what that means, buddy. You know what that means on this show.
Could mean a couple things. Are you playing some club music? Oh. Yeah, I mean, what a showing. How many different times have you said, all right, that's it. Season's over. Are we at double digits yet? I mean,
Yeah.
this has been, frankly, a bizarre season. It's been really, really difficult to analyze. And they don't care. What do they care? Oh, they lost 10 in a row? Whatever. Oh, they lost 9 of 10? Whatever. Oh, swept in Texas? That's all right. Lose 2 of 3 in Boston? Yeah, that's okay. Lose the opener in Tampa? We'll be fine. They won't die. They're like your cat. It's probably like at your feet or hanging from the ceiling. 9 lives.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very much like my cat that once escaped, spent a winter outside, lost,
Right.
came back a month later, skin and bones, but alive. Alive, and that's the Guardians. They're alive. Thanks to guys like Parker Messick, who can't do anything but throw strikes and attack the zone and get deep into a game. You don't see young kids come up and just exercise that level of veteran moxie to be able to survive. I'm going to dodge and bob and weave and whatever else boxing
What were the
terms.
5 Ds? Dodge, dive, dip, duck, and dodge.
If it's a movie that you know, I'm going to let you talk about it. He's going to survive all those base hits against him. He's just going to go deep into the game. He's not going to walk anybody. He's not going to be the reason why he loses the game. You're going to earn it against a kid like that.
The starting pitching has been good. Gavin Williams looks like, despite what some commenters on my feature on him said the other day, the guy's got a 3.17 ERA. He's been exactly what they've needed in the second half. I thought Tanner Bybee looked better, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't want to
better. Yeah.
Again, we can ignore the stuff and just look at the results, and he got the job
I don't want to think about the fact that if you looked below the surface, Bybee and Williams are doing similar things and probably should have similar outcomes. Williams is worse, Bybee better.
But are you looking at a specific period of time here?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, I can see Williams' walk total in bold and italics on his Baseball Reference page right now. But
don't you think he's got a better command on which pitches he commands right now? So early in the season, he was really searching for, when I need a strike, what do I need to throw? Okay, it's the fastball, I guess. I'm not really feeling anything else. And then he learned, okay, I can throw this cutter for a strike, so he leaned on that heavily. But now I feel like he's come out on the other side of, well, it's going to be four-seamer or nothing, or it's going to be cutter or nothing. Now I feel like he's got a better handle on what he needs a strike. This is what I can throw. This is what I can attack with. This is what I can get early contact with. He feels like a much better version of himself right now, and I don't think he's a finished product. I still think there's probably even better version of himself hidden within there.
And
but it feels like he is a guy that I can feel comfortable handing him the ball because he's getting the results right now more than anybody else.
I mean, I'm trying to project what might happen over the next 3 weeks. I'm not looking at what these guys were doing in April and May. Like, that doesn't matter. It's what have you been doing recently that is going to carry over here. For Williams, it's all good. Like, I'm not worried about him. You know, I trust. I'm not going to say with 100% confidence that every time he goes out he's going to throw 7 strong innings, but I trust that there's a better chance of that than early in the season when it was a safe bet to go 4 and throw 104 pitches and walk 5. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, Ciccone in Boston the other night, the line score does not look good whatsoever for him, giving up 7 runs, but they all say it was among his best stuff of the year. So it's the point here is they're getting timely efforts, whether it's the hit when you need the hit, or the shutdown inning when you need the shutdown inning, or escaping a jam and not allowing that inherited runner to score. They're getting what they need when they need it, and for 90% of the season, they weren't doing that. That's not always something you can just influence yourself. Sometimes there's just luck and fortune and just random sequencing that happens. But, you know, and I also, like, when I say they're getting the timely hitting, for the last 3 days, for 4 of the last 5 days they are, right? Like, you know, in Boston, they got home runs over the monster off an ace by Rocchio, Hedges, and Fry, right? In 1 inning, and they didn't win that game. So, you know, it's they're in a little hot stretch right now. The thing that gives me hope, will you indulge me here?
It depends what it is.
I was looking at the Guardians schedule, TJ.
Can I clean up one thing? I did look it up real quick because I can actually look.
Yep.
Slade Ciccone had a 92 plus stuff plus in Boston.
Look, I'm not looking at the stats, man. I'm just telling you what
it's like
he and his coaches said.
Middle of the road sort of stuff plus outing. I'm just cleaning it up. I can look at this stuff now.
I know. I'm just telling you that's why They didn't pull them after the Guardians had roared back in that game.
I only pulled it up because I can actually look game by game. Okay, yes, I will indulge you. You're thinking of what the Guardians have ahead and trying to paint a picture of how this team can be a playoff team.
Look, it's football season. Football season's back. What do we do in football season? We play the schedule game.
We talk about we play the schedule game. We play the schedule
man,
game.
Schmidt happens. You got to move on. Anyway.
What a Schmidt show.
You look, let's have
Same
you seen the Guardians
Schmidt,
schedule here?
Different kicker? Okay,
Same
whatever.
Schmidt, different year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the Guardians schedule? Have you heard about this?
No, Jay Leno. Tell me more about it.
I mean, the Rays were in front of them. So what did they do? They went to the Rays' home and they evicted them. They kicked them out. Yeah.
Wow. They really blew the roof off the place.
Wow, dude.
You're the one that said they evicted them, so I mean...
Who's next?
Wait, hold on. Let's start over here. We're off on the wrong foot, and I think I know why. Because we're missing a little something. I think we're missing this.
You feel that crisp chill in the air? The sun starts setting a little earlier.
See if I can figure this out.
The kids go off to school. Some leaves start changing colors. Your wife starts baking banana bread and pumpkin bread and zucchini bread.
Make sure it's low
Everything
sugar.
in your house smells like pumpkin and spices. It's that time of year, my friends.
Yeah, it is. When I look at the Guardian schedule, that's the time of year I think of.
Because they got a lot of pumpkins coming up.
Whew.
Will they turn into a pumpkin themselves?
I hope not.
Or will they carve...
For the sake of this show.
Here's the deal. This is the best sports time of the year. Right? Football's back. You got baseball games that matter.
Yeah.
It all comes to a head, and the Guardians... What did... Was it Mark Shapiro who used to say, we just want to be playing meaningful games in September?
That's what it is. That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. This is the goal.
I envision them being 2 games above 500 as I'm thinking about it. Sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because Major League Baseball has said this is what we want, so we're going to live in the world of what they want, which means 2 games above 500, 2.5 back of the wild card. Fine. You are still in the playoff hunt, and the Guardians are playing as good of baseball as anybody else that are fighting
over the
for
last
this
3
spot.
days. That's right.
Yeah,
so let's just look. We'll look at the loss column only because these teams have played different numbers of total games. The Mariners clinging on to that 3rd wild card spot with 68 losses. Then behind them, the Rangers with 70, the Royals with 70, the Guardians with 70. It's right there.
Yeah.
So
especially considering who they're about to play.
The Rays were ahead of the Guardians. The Guardians said, get to the back of the line. The Royals are ahead of the Guardians by a half game. You bring them in for 4. Look at this. Look at that schedule. Can they take 3 of 4 against Kansas City? Have you seen these pitching matchups?
Can they? They need to.
Good jam. You've got Slade Ciccone on the mound coming off his best stuff. Maybe. I don't. It depends who you ask. Against Ryan Bergert. Ryan Berger. Is he French? Ryan Bergert. Yeah, it's Bergert, like yogurt, but less appetizing.
Greek yogurt.
Who's actually been decent. But come on, Guardians come back home after a long week on the road.
Yeah. Fired up.
Oh, yeah.
Pitching can't be stopped right now. 6-man rotation, powered by the 6-man rotation.
Which we need to talk about that, by the way.
That sounds like a serious conversation, which I'm not really in the mood for today.
Well, it's just, who do you want the 6 to be? And then who are you going to want the 3 to be in a playoff series? We'll get to that.
Okay, fine.
But yeah, you think the Guardians are going to lose to the Royals to start a homestand on Bark in the Park night? Come on.
You're barking up the wrong tree.
No. Ooh. Then, Joey Cantillo against Noah Cameron. Matchup of solid young lefties. That could go either way. We'll come back to that. Because on Wednesday, Logan Allen, Michael Wacha.
Hopefully that's a good joke.
Do you think it might take some magic to win that game? Think it might take a little wizardry? Think the Guardians might try slithering in and stealing one? Good thing it's Harry Potter night. The Guardians will make the Royals their prisoners of Azkaban and move on to Thursday, September 11th. I am not going to make a joke here. Gavin Williams against Stephen Kolek. I mean, this is why Gavin Williams has made all the changes he's made all season to get to this point, to put the team on his back, to win 3 of 4 against KC, and move ahead of the Royals in the standings. And then this weekend, the White Sox come to town for 3.
Yeah. What a stretch.
By the way, what you have on there, the pitchers, that's not right.
Yeah, ESPN can't fathom the genius of a 6-man rotation.
Right.
That's why they can't appreciate it the way that we.
So you'll
can.
get you'd presumably get Bivey, Ciccone, and Cantillo against the White Sox. Remember last September, Cantillo against the White Sox? Florida with a perfect game in Chicago.
Yeah.
Here's the point. I looked at all the other contenders' schedules too.
Yeah, we could do that. Well, let's pick this apart.
What do you think the Guardians need to go? What's the magic number of total wins? Because I think I have it.
What do you think it is? Because I've been struggling with this because it's still like I know what a good number to shoot for in terms of winning your division is. When we were focused on 1 wild card, 2 wild cards, I felt like I had a good handle on it. I still don't know. Part of me wants to say, oh, you got to get to 87, 88 wins. I don't know that that's the case.
No.
Is it closer to like 85, 86?
Okay, so I'm going to ignore the Royals and Rangers for a minute. Texas's schedule's kind of tough. They've got to go Milwaukee and then the Mets and the Astros. And then they actually end the season in Cleveland. That could be a huge series. The Royals, after the Royals come to Cleveland for 4, they go to Philly. And then they host the Mariners. Then they host the Blue Jays. Like their last week is easy, Angels and Athletics. Look at that. There's the Royals schedule. So you can see.
Trying to be on top of it today.
Yeah, this is cool.
For our YouTube audience.
Like the Royals basically have to survive the next 2 weeks, and then, maybe they could go 5-1 that last week, although that's on the road too. It's not easy.
Well, here's what's interesting. A lot does hinge. I mean, clearly this is a big 4-game series between these two teams, but so much hinges because then if Cleveland takes, let's say they win 3 of 4, moving past them in that manner really makes it so Cleveland only, when you're talking about the Royals, you really only have to focus on yourself now.
Yeah.
Because you've gained that ground. And so much hinges just on this first 4 games. I mean, of course it does, because the days are dwindling on the schedule and they're head-to-head matchups. And the thing that makes this so different compared to so many years past is we got to worry about head-to-head matchups now. Because
Correct.
There's no one-game play-in sort of mentality here to worry about, which is why those Seattle games were so important, because you lost that battle against Seattle. They have the tiebreaker over you, so when you're thinking about games back, you really have to envision it as being one more than it is. We'll get there too. But Kansas City, right now they hold the advantage in the season series. You win the series, you win the season series against Kansas City. That's an even bigger thing to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously if a team sweeps this 4-game set, you just ended the other team's season, and you put yourself in a good spot. Take 3 of 4, you're in really good shape. If you split, it's like both teams are done a disservice, I think. Can you pull up the Mariners schedule? Because this is the one that's important. They're all important, but this is the one, you're watching what the Guardians do, and you're going to be keeping an eye on the Mariners, who host this week the Cardinals and then the Angels for 4. And you can see, the Mariners have not been playing great. And this is going to be interesting. Like, they've got the pitching advantage against the Cardinals for sure. And the Angels, you would think the Mariners can take 3 or 4 there.
Yeah.
But look at that next week, right? Like, at KC and at Houston is huge, because also the Mariners are still alive in the West. So they're 2.5 games behind the Astros. They're 2 back in the loss column. So there's just a lot of moving parts here. And then obviously that Rockies series stands out. You almost have to pencil that in as a Mariners sweep. But what's going to be on the line for the Dodgers? That could go either way. That could be the Mariners' most difficult series of the year, or it could be the Dodgers just trying to get healthy and they've wrapped up the NL West, and playoff seeding doesn't matter. Like, you don't know. So I was going through this, and I was at first I said, if the Mariners keep stumbling and they keep playing this disjointed baseball that they've played lately, and now look, they got really healthy against the Braves over the weekend. The last 2 days they outscored the Braves, I think, 28-4. But the worst case scenario for the Mariners is they go something like 8-11, and I don't think that's going to happen. Because if they went 8-11, they finish with 83 wins, and then it's wide open. I think more realistic, they do something like 10-9, 11-8, and that gets them to 85 or 86. So then if you're the Guardians, bare minimum, it would be 13-7. But that would only, if the Mariners go 10-9 and the Guardians go 13-7, that gets you into a tie. And as you mentioned, the Mariners have the tiebreak. So yeah, they're 2.5 back. They're 2 back in the loss column, but it's really 3 because they don't have that tiebreaker. As long as the Mariners are that team they're chasing. And that, to me, makes me feel like you probably have to go 14-6. And that's assuming the Mariners just play, okay, solid baseball here. If the Mariners play good baseball, I still think they could be a World Series team. I don't think there's much that separates the top teams in the American League. I think the Mariners are right there with, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Yankees, even the Red Sox. So to me, I think there's no reason they can't go 12-7, 13-6, and that would basically end this race. But if they leave the door open, I think the Guardians probably have to go 14-6. Does that sound about right to you? That would get them to 86 wins.
Yeah, I think, like you said, bare minimum is what I'm thinking there. One thing that does play in the Mariners' favor is they have so many more home games down the stretch, and they're a team, just based on their ballpark and the pitching that they have, they can take advantage of being that home team. And right now they have the 3rd best home ERA in baseball at 3.40.
41-27 at home, which is the 3rd best home record in the American League.
Seattle is
3rd or 4th.
22nd in road ERA. So they're a team that really leans into having that great pitching at home and will benefit from that down the stretch. But everybody has taken a turn catching fire a little bit. Texas, I was ready to write Texas off because of the injuries that they've had.
Yeah, they just needed their best players to all get hurt.
But they just keep hanging around. They're still making it interesting there. In terms of, so the other thing that we were talking about, Kansas City, Cleveland currently holds the tiebreaker, the head-to-head matchup against Kansas City right now. It's 5-4 against them. So even if you split this 4-game series, you maintain that edge over Kansas City. It really feels like they need to win 3 out of 4 here to really give themselves a legitimate shot. Doesn't end things to split against Kansas City, but would really help if they were able to take the series. Texas, they're 0-3 against them. They play them again coming up, so at the very best, you'd be pushing to the next tiebreaker if you were to even up with Texas. But if you're sweeping Texas, more than likely, wouldn't you just be topping them in record anyway?
Yeah, but that's what's crazy is I look at these schedules and I'm thinking. So I did the math and I was like, I think the Rangers maybe they go 9-9 or 10-8. I think KC goes. I put them down for 10-9. I put Seattle down for 10-9 initially, though I'm thinking they'll be a little better than that. But just for the sake of the exercise, like there is a chance that this comes down to the final few days, and these teams are all a jumbled mess. And like I looked at the Guardians' schedule, and I'm like, are the Tigers going to need that series at the end, the last week when they come to Cleveland?
Right.
The Guardians could absolutely go 5-1 that final week against the Tigers and Rangers at home. They have 4 games in Minnesota. That to me is the big series because there's a doubleheader in there. Obviously, the Twins are playing out the string here, but that's 4 games in 3 days in that ballpark. That's tough. And you got to win 3 of 4. So, if the Guardians are able to go like 13-7 or something, I mean, there is a legitimate chance that all 4 of these teams wind up within a game or 2 of each other. And then you're right. Like, it does come down to tiebreakers. It comes down to who you beat. And so if the Guardians need to sweep that series against the Rangers, and maybe that helps them, if they need the tiebreaker, things like that. So that's why, like you said, like the series against the Royals is immense for all those reasons. You split, at least you keep the tiebreaker that way. But I almost feel like that hurts both teams because no one's like, this is a chance for someone to gain a pretty big edge.
Yeah, I really feel like so much of both Kansas City and Cleveland, again, the obvious statement here, it hinges on these next 4 games. On the other side of these 4 games, we'll have so much better picture of who's going where, which direction. That Chicago series, it shouldn't scare me. It shouldn't scare me, but when you go into a series where it's like, this should be one where you got to try to sweep. You got to. Even just taking the series it's going to be okay, but it's going to feel like, you're going to have to make up that win somewhere else on the schedule. And certainly Detroit has not played well since initially they were great to begin the year, but they have not been a great team here recently, despite the fact that they are still fighting for that top spot in the American League with Toronto.
It's been 2 months since the Guardians have seen them too. And that was the Tigers swept them July 4th weekend to push Cleveland's losing streak to 10 games. So these 2 teams have changed quite a bit since then. It's going to be fascinating. I mean, it reminds me a little bit. I'm getting like 2013 vibes when Cleveland needed to win 10 in a row to end the regular season to get to the wild card.
I remember looking at those 10 games and thinking, well, if they win 7, they're probably good, and if they win 8, they're really good. And it turned out they pretty much needed to win them all.
They did, yeah. And I mean, Giambi's home run basically saved the season, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it the Rangers who were pushing them too? And then the Rays obviously met them in the
because it was there were 3 teams fighting for the 2 spots.
Okay, yeah, because Cleveland finished with 92, Tampa finished with 92, and Texas finished with 91. So I think Cleveland ended up getting the top one, and then the Rangers and Rays had to play a 163. But yeah, I mean, so it's going to be fun. I'm glad we have this instead of just, let's talk about what you've seen from Matt Festa lately. But there's
still room for that. Could still do that.
Yeah, I like when there are stakes. I like when, I don't know, to me, it's just like, it's the time of year. It's the sports calendar. We can finally wear hoodies and shorts and talk about football and baseball. And it's just, I don't know, it's great.
While it is what we talked about on our Patreon show, not my ideal playoff outlook, I'm not going to argue with what what is in front of us. I'm not going to say, well, I don't enjoy it because I don't think the baseball field should be this expanded. Okay, this is what we have. And the whole point
Right.
of what baseball created is so that the final several weeks of the season do have this sort of feel.
It's not for us
the
to
issue,
decide.
The issue is, of the teams that are fighting for the spot, are they really good enough to get into the postseason and make noise? Major League Baseball doesn't care. And could we have a legitimate conversation about how this doesn't matter because the Guardians look at their lineup and look at they're going to finish with their worst batting average in franchise history? And yeah, sure, whatever. And there's plenty of time for us to decipher that. But as I said to begin the show, there's been so much yuck and bad and reason to yell this year. Sort of like going back to that 95 team. Take the night to embrace that night, everything you've earned to get to this point. Well, take this for what it is. Regardless of whether or not this team can get in the postseason and make noise, because this sport is what it is, I can still watch the Dodgers come within an out of a no-hitter and still lose the game to a bad team in Baltimore. This sport is weird. Crazy crap happens in short sample sizes, and whether or not they should be there compared to any other year, it's not going to change the fact that I'm going to enjoy whatever we get down the stretch because, as you said, it beats the alternative here.
Do you want to know how weird the sport is? Imagine it's March 25th. And I'm going to tell you, TJ, I finally ordered a crystal ball off Amazon. I don't know why we never did this for Tito.
God.
And I'm looking at Cleveland's baseball reference page for the 2025 season. And, with 20 games left, here are their top 10 players in order of WAR on baseball reference. And I'm going to tell you who they are. And you have to tell me how the season's gone. Okay?
How the season's gone?
Because it's March, but I'm going to tell you what the WAR leaderboard looks like on September 8th.
Okay. So,
and you're just going to tell me
the narrative of how they got there.
Yes.
Okay. I understand.
Number 1, Jose Ramirez.
Easy.
Right, no surprise there. Number
I'm glad
2,
I took him number 1. Yes.
Number 2, Stephen Kwan.
That's exactly
surprise
where I
there.
would think he would be. Yeah, he's right behind
Number
Jose.
Number 3, Gavin Williams. Remember
right.
talk about him in spring training was this guy was going to go straight to Cooperstown. Number 4, Daniel Schneemann.
Excuse me?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Number 5.
Daniel Schneemann.
Number 5, Carlos Santana.
Yeah. All right. They proved us wrong. Santana was worth signing here.
Yeah.
He was totally worth it. Must have been much better offensively, too, than I was even envisioning.
Number 6, Colby Allard.
You know what? This team, they do it every year. They find some dude, and he just takes off in the rotation. I don't know how how did he get in the rotation?
25 starts is my guess. Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
This team unearths just gems like nothing.
Number 7, Gabriel Arias.
Finally, an answer at shortstop. Good gravy. Took long enough.
Number 8, and the best part about this is Baseball Reference, they lay this out with everybody's headshots. So everybody's smiling, and they've got their red Guardians cap with the Navy C. And then here's some dude with the big yellow duck. It's Parker Messick. He's wearing his Akron Rubber Ducks hat because they don't have the big league headshot for him yet because he wasn't in big league spring training.
That's all right. That's all right. This was a guy that was on the radar. Didn't necessarily think he was going to come up and play this much of a role, but if he's this high on the WAR leaderboard for this club, he probably came up like in May and is just taking off.
Number 9, Bo Naylor.
Offense. You know what we said? We said how many times this guy's a better hitter than we've seen so far. For the proof.
And number 10, Nick Enright.
Nick Enright. Okay, that's a cool story. I'm glad Zach probably got to write a really cool story on that.
So just to recap.
And not the story about how he ran into him at the airport.
No. Did I share that, by the way?
Not
Never
on the show.
a good sign when you see another player on your flight back to Cleveland while the team's flight is going to a different city. And the player, it's always awkward too because the player doesn't want to talk about it, especially if someone who's got an injury and it's not an injury that you don't want an injury to that part of your body when you're a pitcher.
Hasn't the guy gone through enough? Come on, baseball guys.
Yeah. So, no Kate Smith, no Emmanuel Clase, no Hunter Gaddis, no Nolan Jones. Kyle Manzardo is 11th. No Chase DeLauder,
but he's
no
a
Travis
DH.
Pisana,
He's a DH. Right?
no Juan Brito. Very strange. Very strange. So how would you, just based on everything I've said, I mean, are you thinking that they're 72 and 70?
I think they're 72 and 70. I think they're a little bit better than a 500 team.
But it just,
here we are.
It illustrates your point. Baseball's weird. And even when you see who's contributing and how they're contributing, it doesn't always add up. It doesn't that
just add to the aura of Jose Ramirez, because nothing in baseball is certain except that dude's stat page. Except that dude finishing in the top 5 in MVP. Nothing, and we'll spend more time on this because we wanted to, and just baseball has gotten in the way. We haven't got a chance to talk about it, but Jose's career and his staying power is sometimes more impressive than just the guy that had one incredible MVP season. Well, just wild. You can count on that. Nothing else, but you can count on that.
I wish this crystal ball that I got on Amazon had the ability to tell me how many more years we can count on it.
Yeah, but that would take some of the fun out of it. Can you do something?
Sure.
For me, though?
He just looks like the same. You're right. Like the numbers are just there every year.
You just count on it. Count on it. Can you peer into that crystal ball for me and figure out who should start playoff games for the Guardians?
Don't you have a sound effect for that, right?
Yeah.
If you're hearing this sounder, it means Zack has ridiculously asked for TJ to give him his 3 starters if the playoffs started today.
Getting less and less ridiculous by the day.
Well, according to Baseball Reference's WAR leaderboard, it should probably go Gavin Williams, Colby Allard, Parker Messick.
Gavin Williams. Let's start right there. Would that be just because he's had the best season? Is that the guy you want in taking the ball in game 1?
It is.
I agree.
I don't think there's a lot to think about here.
I agree. Now, what would be interesting is he's a guy that certainly does battle command, is capable of walking 5 guys very quickly and having his game limited based on that. Is he a guy that you keep a close eye on and you wonder if you can spot the command is going to be a little bit off, you just immediately go to the pen?
I think
or do you
so,
stick with it?
But I also don't think that this is the 2024 pen where you can stretch Gaddis and Herron and, you even had Sabrowski and Walters who you trusted to a certain extent last year. So you're not getting...
You also have more starters, though, that are stretched out compared to...
You do, but I don't like those starters to the level that I liked the bullpen last year. Point is, I almost would rather ride with Gavin Williams than,
Joey Cantillo coming out.
Yeah, well, maybe, but like
that's what I was thinking in my head.
But I don't want Logan Allen
strikeouts in the postseason.
I don't want Logan Allen in leverage. I don't want, I can't rip Junis, man. He's been great. He's 12th in WAR, but like I don't want more of Festa than I need. I don't want Colby Allard pitching in leverage. I don't know if I trust Tim Herron, given this. He's had the same issues Gavin Williams has had. So I understand what you're saying. I just don't think that this pitching staff has the depth of quality that last year's did, or that they had in 2022. And so I don't think you can be as aggressive maybe as they have been.
I do wonder if you were to start him in game 1, though, then you do operate with knowing we could have someone in one of our starters that, like Joey Cantillo, that can miss bats, and we would have him at the ready. But he's also a guy that battles command, so Is it any better? The whole point here is I'm thinking of worst case scenario. There's also the best case scenario here where he goes 7 1/3, shoves, looks amazing.
And I think
no one questions
if you're gonna win a playoff series, you have to have that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's I'm willing to win or lose with my best players.
I agree. So I would definitely go game 1, Gavin Williams. I have no real argument against it. Game 2 is where this gets interesting. Do you just hand the ball to Tanner Bybee?
I do. I don't think I think it's pretty simple.
Okay.
Done. Do you want to go all first take on this and just take an opposite sides for ratings?
There are guys that you would say are having better seasons in terms of production. Below the surface, we've covered that Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee in looking through the prism
Can you tell me
what
who
actually should have happened are probably having much closer seasons than you would even expect.
Who's having a better season?
In terms of run prevention?
Well, I mean, who's a better candidate here?
I don't think there is a better candidate. I'm just I want to think through every avenue here to make sure that we cover every base.
I mean, I don't think I'm looking at Logan Allen's numbers. I don't think they're better. Slade Cicconi's numbers aren't better. Ben Lively's out. Joey Cantillo has thrown 72 innings, and I feel like I've actually changed on him. I think I'm higher on him than maybe the average person is, and yet I don't think he's the answer here. Parker Messick's made 4 starts.
Yeah, which is why I would start him in game 3. Thank you.
I would too. But
oh my goodness,
I think Cantillo is the wild card to me, and here's what I would need to know, and I think only Carl Willis can really answer this. Tell me whose stuff plays better out of the pen in a scenario like this. My guess is Cantillo is the answer just because he's done that before. You'd be throwing Messick into a new role, and I mean, but I don't know. Maybe it's like, hey, Parker, you've got 30 pitches, just go let it fly, and maybe he'd.
And it's all
maybe
new.
It'd be great.
Everything is new for him in the major league level.
Yeah, but I think I kind of like the idea, like Cantillo and high leverage. Like I almost like that as much or more than Heron right now. I don't know. So
Cantillo's a guy that I think you might pull somebody out in the 4th inning, 5th inning,
right,
and then let Cantillo go 2 1/3.
Yeah.
Or you don't, based on what his command looks like on that
I almost
day.
think that this exercise we need to look at the other end of the spectrum and say, okay, I assume it's Cade Smith and Hunter Gaddis and Eric Zabrowski. Are those your 3 circle of trust guys for the back end?
Excuse me, you missed the beginning of the flow chart.
The fulcrum.
How do you get to those guys? Yeah,
Matt Festa, yeah. But like, where would if let's say Cantillo is a reliever in this exercise, is he next? Do you trust Junis more?
I don't think you look at it like a depth
Allard?
chart. I don't think you look at it that way.
I'm saying if you need to piece together 5 innings of relief.
Sure, but I think how you get there is important, because if you're going, okay, let's say a guy exits in the 4th inning and there's 2 guys on base. I think
Say
I
the
would
2
want to
magic
go
words.
to,
Say it.
I think I'd want to go to Matt Festa. No, I want to give Cantillo clean innings is more what I'm thinking. I don't want to have to bring him in the middle of a mess, especially when he's been starting for most of this year, especially recently, and he's a guy that could walk more guys. I know Zabrowski's had some command issues, but I do think Cantillo would be one of those guys that gets deemed the bullpen weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And I like him in the postseason because I think he is a guy with the changeup that's capable of getting lots of strikeouts.
Yeah, Cantillo's last 3 starts with Cleveland, 16 2/3 innings, 3 runs, 1 run each time out, and more innings than hits allowed. He's walked 2, 4, and 2. So, in the 4 was that start against the Braves where the guy ran on the field when the bases were loaded, and then he comes back and he walks in a run.
What are we
And
doing here?
That was just kind of a mess. But yeah, I actually think he's looked better as the season has gone on, and he's kind of intriguing to me. More intriguing to me now, I think, than I felt at the beginning of the year. And I do feel like he's a guy who could be valuable. And I like the fact that he pitched in the playoffs last season. It didn't go great, but I do think that experience matters a little bit. That's why I also I wouldn't worry too much about Bybee. This is a guy who said, give me the ball in short rest against the Yankees and let's ride. So I'm with you. I lean Parker Messick starting Game 3 in his Akron Rubber Ducks hat, and then using Cantillo just maybe when a lefty makes sense, or you need a couple innings.
I mean, nothing about them being here with the lineup that they have and who they've lost throughout the year, the injuries, the guys that had their lockers
pitching,
cleaned out.
This is supposed to be the easy part, right? How, imagine trying to assemble the starting lineup.
But I actually think this is semi-easy, and this is a fun exercise. Remember going back when it was, should Matthew Boyd start Game 2? And then it was like, do you trust Gavin Williams? That felt like stretching. This actually feels a little bit intriguing.
Congratulations on your $15 million this year.
This feels intriguing to me. This feels like it's a fun exercise to put together. This is a fun puzzle. As opposed to last year, it felt a little bit dicey at times. Trying to find who's going to start the game and get to Cade Smith in the 5th.
This is where you miss Luis Ortiz. I don't know how the season would have ended up, but you would imagine 2 more months of working with Carl Willis and Brad Goldberg and Joe Torres. And if you had to guess, I think you'd guess that he'd be in pretty good shape and he'd be an easy answer to this question for Game 3 at least. So that hurts. That was supposed to be, and it was looking like it was going to be a major strength of this team, and he'd be a big part of it.
I do wonder with Parker Messick, how much of we've seen how many guys come up and have this initial wave of September, October success, in a large part because guys have not seen them a ton. They don't have this lengthy book. And we have the minor league data. We know what they throw. There's no 25, 30, 40 years ago when, what does this kid throw? I don't know. We got to see him. They don't go up there completely blind, but there still is a mental Rolodex that you build just upon seeing a guy, what they like to go to, what the movement looks like coming out of the hand. You can't replicate that through just looking at a spreadsheet. You can get a better idea than many years ago, but there's still something to seeing a kid. And I think just the level of newness to Parker Messick, and the fact that he's proven unafraid to just attack the zone, fill the zone with strikes. It just feels like an easy thing to me that I would be anxious to see what he would look like. And also, given that he's just made his major league debut, then he's pitching in front of family and friends, and he's had many outings here where he's probably had a little bit extra adrenaline already working with him. So there's been talk of guys that are command pitchers that enter the postseason, and it's a little bit of an adjustment for them because now they're working with a little bit extra juice, and they don't know how the ball's going to work with that little bit of extra giddy up because they're a guy that focuses so much on command. Well, his command's been impeccable, and he's working with a little bit extra adrenaline, so he's already probably better prepared than anybody to go pitch in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, his 4 starts were his major league debut, and then his first start in front of the home crowd, and also that was against Tampa, a team that was right there with them in the playoff race, and he went 7 shutout innings. And then at Fenway Park, day game on a holiday in front of a sellout crowd, and that didn't go well. And that was his first adversity, right? And then he bounces back in front of basically his friends and family with another strong start against a team that's already seen him too. That was what was impressive to me. And you're right. He's not overpowering guys. Like the fastball average is 92.4, but you've seen him dial it up to 95 when he needs it, maybe as an out pitch or something. And you just look at the Baseball Savant page and you're right. Like there's not enough time to make league-wide adjustments against him. That's why it's an intriguing option is like you can do your best, but you just haven't seen enough to know how he's going to adjust to hitters. And what his tendencies really are. And you're right. Like, he's given up more hits, I think 28 hits in 23 innings, but it's a lot of soft contact. He's really limited. His hard hit rate is elite so far, and he doesn't walk anybody. So, like, sure, if you want to, go Stephen Kwan on him and just drop some singles on them, like, that's fine, because he's not going to walk guys, so he's going to be able to get out of it more often than not. And so it's encouraging, and you're right, it's like it's come at just the right time where, like, he can gain confidence, and the opposition just, they don't have enough time to catch up yet. So maybe it works. And he's handy, like we said, like, there's been a lot of pressure on him in those 4 starts. Each outing has thrown something different at him. So, who cares? What's an elimination game in the wild card round? Like, you can handle it.
You shouldn't just take the outlook. You shouldn't even be here today. And when you're 2 games above 500,
so what? And it would be
this late in the
probably
year,
be like in Houston.
shouldn't even be here today. Shouldn't even be playing playoff games. We have no right to be here, but yet here we are. So what do you have to lose?
I think that's been the team-wide
pressure.
mantra.
All of the pressure is on everybody else. And that's the tried and true method here.
If you look at this season, if you try to take the step back, if you try to figure out what the 30,000-foot view is of this team, I really do think there's nothing to lose here, right? Like, they had the pressure valve released when the trade deadline passed, when they figured, okay, we're not going to have Clase or Ortiz now for the rest of the season, maybe ever. Kwan is still here. We didn't trade him. Like, we know Bieber's gone, but we can move forward with the guys in this clubhouse. And we've been through a 10-game losing streak. We've been through the off-the-field distractions and the stress leading up to the deadline and everything. It's been rotten. It's been one bad thing after another, one gut punch after another batch of adversity. And when you get beaten down like that, you do feel like the pressure's not on you anymore. And I do think you've seen it. They can play carefree. They can lose a few games, and it's like, okay, well, we lost 10 in a row before. We lost 9 of 10. Like, this isn't new. And so I do feel like there is that feeling throughout where, well, no one had us being here when we were 40 and 48. And so they're 72 and 7. Look, it might not make sense. It might not be pretty. You might look at the lineup and the team statistics on offense and be like, we're talking playoffs and what they have to do the last 3 weeks to get there. And it's not up for us to decide.
Too late to add Travis Bazzana to the mix? I mean, hitting all those AAA home runs now.
Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, yes. But wouldn't that be fun?
It would.
It's not too late to add John Means or Lane Thomas in a week or two.
Yeah. So don't tell me what I can and cannot enjoy this time of year. We shouldn't even be here. Shouldn't even be here having these conversations. Here we are. Let's make the most of it. See you later this week.